Hello, Joe DeSanto here. Thanks for joining me in another video. In this video, I'm going to talk about using HELOCs for a down payment, and is that a good idea, bad idea, and so on. But before I get to that, if you like my content, please do a like and or subscribe. That really helps me out. And also, I want to let you know that I have further enhanced my main course, which is now called Personal Finance Mastery. I've added even more content since my last update, but I've also really oriented it towards running the business of you and tried to create the easiest to follow and most comprehensive top to bottom understanding of what personal finance is and how it translates into running the business of you. I think you'll really enjoy it if you're into personal finance and trying to get your quote-unquote financial act together. So take a look, link below in the description. Okay, so using a HELOC for a down payment. Well, HELOC, I assume you know what that is if you're watching this video, but in case you don't, it's a home equity line of credit. Essentially, it's a revolving line of credit, much like a credit card, but it is secured by the equity in your house, which means it usually has a lower interest rate, which is good. Generally, the interest rate is variable, though, because it is a line of credit as opposed to a fixed payment and term loan. The other benefit of a HELOC being that it's essentially using your equity as collateral is that it doesn't affect your credit score as much when you're using it because it is secured debt. But using it as a down payment would indicate that you are buying a second house, because if you have a home equity line of credit to access for the purpose of using it for a down payment, you must already own a home. So I'm essentially going to answer this question in the sense of, is it a good idea to use a home equity line of credit as a down payment for a second property? I would say it depends if the second property is meant to be a second home or vacation home versus an investment property. If you're just buying a second home, maybe a vacation property to go visit, and you don't plan on renting it out otherwise as a vacation rental or something to that effect, I would suggest that perhaps you shouldn't use your current home's or main home's equity to buy that house. If that's what is required for you to do that, I definitely would question that. I would think if you're buying a second home, a vacation home, or a home that is not going to generate income, you probably want to have enough cash to make that down payment on your own. Now, of course, every situation requires some math, so I could be wrong, but my general caution there. Now, if you're buying a rental property that is going to generate some income and obviously in the long term provide equity growth, then I would say it's not necessarily a bad idea. However, if you're using a loan as your down payment on a house that will have another loan for the remainder of the purchase price, my guess is that it's going to be hard for the property to cash flow with essentially 90 or 95 or 100% debt. So that is my main caution there. Now, I'll give you another example. I use my home equity line of credit to buy a house in all cash for the purpose of getting a better deal and also the expediency of the transaction, with the intention that I was going to refi that house I bought with all cash, get 80% of that value back, and pay down the line of credit. And then also I had in my sight the ability to fully pay off the line of credit in a certain period of time. So I wasn't necessarily using any of the debt of the line of credit long term, but I was using it for the expediency of getting into the investment and getting into it quickly and, at a better deal. So I definitely am for using your home equity line of credit to tee up or get into additional investments, as long as you have the long-term plan of how you're going to back out of that debt, on paper, and you can get to the back out within 6 to 12 months. So I don't know if I made a definitive case or whether you should use it or not. As always, it depends, but I'm going to lean on you may want to use it. I may endorse that if it's an investment property that pencils out pretty well and you have a clear path to getting that equity paid off. So then you could use it again for another investment property. So hopefully that's helpful, as I always say, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.